Having completed working documents of the various branding tools, you are probably wondering, now what? Module 3, Career Transition Process and Methodology, addresses how to go about getting your branding documents into the hands of the right people, as well as what to say both in cases of posted jobs, as well as in situations where you may be looking to create a position. Career transition is anything but a linear process, but for those of you who are analytical, this is as close to a step-by-step linear process as you're going to get. You're going to go through and identify companies and people of interest. You're going to determine your purpose and approach. You're going to write correspondence based on that purpose and follow up to get a meeting. Again, at this stage, it looks pretty linear, but career transition is a very fluid process. Now, I like to say it'll do triple back gainers and double flips on you and spin around all kinds of different directions. But if you start with the steps on the slide in front of you, you'll be going in the right direction. The first step is to identify companies of interest. While the majority of your campaign will involve reaching out to companies whether or not they have postings, posted positions are a fact of life in the job search. So you want to be approaching those in the most effective way possible. The first thing you want to do is to discover what posted positions might be out there that fit you. The 4 meta search engines that we have found to be the most reliable are LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and Glassdoor. You're going to want to set up search agents on each of these sites. Each of them will allow you to set up to 10 search agents, and you will want to set up search agents based on job titles in which you may be interested, specific companies or industry, or even skills that might be involved in some of the jobs but that may not be picked up in the job title. You want to set these up for weekly rather than daily alerts. There aren't enough changes on a day-to-day basis to warrant getting them daily. If a job is legitimate, meaning the company is truly sourcing external candidates, that job's going to be posted for at least a couple of weeks, so you don't need to worry about it going away if you're only looking at weekly alerts. It also keeps you from being stuck in front of your computer all day, staring at a bunch of job postings and just getting frustrated because you don't see anything new. So you'll want to set up search agents on these 4 sites. In addition to looking at posted jobs, we will be using Career Advantage to identify companies of interest that do not currently have jobs relevant to the search that you're doing. Whether you are looking at career change, career advancement, maybe just trying to change industry or change companies, Career Advantage has a variety of databases that we can search from different perspectives to identify companies that you might be interested in and to help plot paths that you may want to go down as you go through your transition. At this time, please stop the recording, get into the databases, get into the social media, and start to identify 40 to 50 companies of interest to start with. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me, once you get into the databases and you start doing the research, the problem won't be coming up with enough companies. The problem is going to be narrowing those down and deciding where you want to start. Now that you have identified your companies of interest, you have to think about the right approach in going after them. You will hear me start saying a lot about purpose. Each contact that you make has a unique purpose in reaching out. Once you have your list of companies of interest, choose the first one that you might want to contact. You have to ask yourself a question at that point. Does that company have a posted position right now that fits you, or do they not? If the company does have a posted position, you're going to write a cover letter called a T letter outlining how your qualifications match up with the job. And I will be showing you an example of this in a moment. If there isn't a posted position, you need to ask yourself another question. How much experience or knowledge do you have with that company, the product, the industry? If the answer is, I don't have much experience, you're going to go at this from an exploratory perspective. If you have a lot of experience, maybe you've been working at Dell, you want to move to HP, where you would be doing basically the same job just with a different logo, then you might go at it from the direct approach perspective, making a proposal to create a position. I'd like to talk for just a moment here. You'll see a term there, hidden job opportunity. I'd like to talk for just a moment about that, what that means, and more importantly, what it doesn't mean. A hidden job opportunity does not mean that there is some secret vault locked under Congress Avenue someplace where there's a list of all the jobs that companies don't want to post online. Discovering hidden job opportunities means looking for indicators of change going on in companies. Maybe a company has just gotten a new round of funding. Maybe there's been a change in executive level management. Maybe you've just noticed walking through a store that there's a problem that you could solve for them. Hidden job opportunities can result in proposals. These three methods are methods that almost everyone in career transition uses. As a general rule, you're likely to start out with either a T-letter or the hidden job opportunity exploratory conversation, and then the proposal may then become a part two to that networking exploratory meeting. This is a sample of what the beginning of a T-letter might look like. There are a couple of full examples in your module packet. If you'll remember from the last slide, this is a cover letter that you would be using for posted jobs. T-letters differentiate you in two ways. First of all, simply the format. You'll notice that you have a table form here that matches requirements versus qualifications. When you write a T-letter, you go down the job description line by line with requirements on the left and matching it with your qualifications on the right. The goal here is to take any guesswork away from whoever might be reading this cover letter. You are lining it up line by line, saying, you want it, I've got it, you want it, I've got it, you want it, I've got it, how could you not want to talk with me? So it differentiates you in format, and it differentiates you in the fact that it directly addresses the job. When you write a T-letter, you will go into one of the databases or into LinkedIn and identify a decision maker, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. You will then send this letter 2 places. You will upload it as part of the online job posting, while simultaneously sending it directly to a decision maker that you have identified. When you upload it to the online system, you want it to be uploaded as a .doc or as a text file, just to make sure that it's going to get through that applicant tracking system. What do you say to companies without postings? In a situation where there is no posting and you're going to try to get someone's attention, I like to use a formula that's a wow, why, who call to action. The first part of the correspondence to a contact in a company where there is no posted position starts with something about them. You don't want to start this, hi, my name is, and I'm writing to you because. As we mentioned in an earlier webinar, your job search isn't about you. It's about them, and the more you can make it about them, the more it'll grab their attention. So you want to open with something that has grabbed your attention about the person or about the company. Maybe you're congratulating them on a promotion. If you're an Aggie, you say howdy Ag, as much as it hurts me to say that as a graduate of the University of Texas. The second part of the correspondence is to state your purpose in why you're reaching out. If you are looking at this from an exploratory perspective, maybe you're just going to tell them that you're considering a career change and want to pick their brain for a little bit. If it was about a posted job and it's the hiring manager, you're going to ask for a time to talk about the role. Maybe you weren't able to identify the hiring managers, but you have been able to identify another contact who may be able to refer you to the right person. Even better, maybe you've been called for an interview. No one can prep you better than someone who's on the inside, and you're going to get in touch with them to see if they might be able to help. It's very important that you know your unique purpose in reaching out to every contact. Basically, you shouldn't be reaching out if you don't know why you're reaching out to them, and you want to be able to clearly articulate that to them. Most people are willing to help if they know exactly how they can help and what you need. In the next line, you're going to give a brief description of yourself. Who are you? Not a full teammate or elevator pitch, but you might want to use the why statement that you wrote in the branding module. You want to give a little bit of background for who you are. We have similar backgrounds in marketing, but our careers have gone in different directions. I have been doing more digital marketing and I'm exploring careers along the lines of what you've been doing professionally. Or I'm about to finish my EMBA at Baylor and I'm exploring ways that I might grow in my current company. You want to let them know a little about you. And finally, you want to put in a call to action, something that warrants follow-up. Can I buy you coffee or lunch next week and pick your brain for a few minutes? You want to avoid ending the correspondence with statements like, please let me know if you have any questions, or I look forward to hearing from you. That leaves the ball in their court, and at every step along the way during your campaign, you want to be proactively reaching out and take the next step. So, putting it all together, it might sound something like this. Hello from a fellow Longhorn. I'm reaching out to you as I'm in career transition, looking to build my network and jumpstart my marketing career here in Austin. Can I buy you coffee or lunch next week and pick your brain for a few minutes? Pretty simple, right? Most people look at these, though, and I think are almost baffled by the simplicity and may spend too much time agonizing over just what to say. If you find yourself doing that, simply ask yourself a question, and that is, what do I need from this person? And you're going to write exactly that. You want to be very genuine, what you're looking for, who you are, and what you need from them. So, you have determined the company, you know what you're going to say. Now it's time to identify the individual to whom you plan to send the correspondence. In priority order, ideally, you would like to contact someone who you might have a second-degree connection to on LinkedIn, to which you can request an introduction. Maybe you're going to find someone who holds the title to which you may report, someone who you think is actually the hiring manager. If neither of those work, then anyone in the company who may be willing to shepherd you through the company's hiring process. This may even be an upper-level HR person. When we talk about getting around the HR people, it's not that HR people are inherently evil. It's that, by definition, they are the keepers of the hiring process in their own companies. And they're not likely to be willing to help you circumvent themselves. They can be very helpful, however, in helping you learn the ins and outs of the hiring process in their individual companies. Most of you will do just fine with identifying people, identifying contacts, knowing what to say to them. The part that makes most people's stomachs churn a little bit is the most important part, however, and that is doing the follow-up. If you remember, the end of each of the pieces of correspondence, you had a call to action about meeting for lunch, getting together for coffee, talking with them to pick their brain for a little while. Well, now you have to follow up on that. And the first follow-up comes 3 to 5 business days after initial contact, then every other day for 2 weeks. You're going to be alternating phone calls with emails. Again, this is the hardest part because a lot of people say they don't want to be a pest. They don't want to get on someone's nerves. The hard part to remember with this is that the surprising thing is when you do hear back from somebody immediately. Usually it does take 3 or 4 or 5 follow-ups for someone to get back with you. You're not being a pest. You're being proactive and letting them see your interest. Usually when someone is struggling in their campaign, I only have to ask one question, and that question is, how's your follow-up? And in changing the way they do the follow-up, that tends to bring more success. Remember in the follow-up that your purpose is to get face-to-face. You want an appointment. You'd like to have a meeting with them. Don't ask for an interview, because when you use the word interview, immediately you're going to be shuffled off to human resources. And remember, your goal is to get in front of a hiring manager who's going to be looking for what you do have, rather than someone who is looking to check boxes for what you don't have. Now we've come to the time that you've been waiting for. Over the past few days or weeks, you've spent a lot of time doing some soul-searching, self-discovery, putting together your branding documents, getting that list of companies ready to go, and writing your correspondence. Now it's time to launch. If you haven't done so already, please schedule an appointment with your advisor to discuss and create your individual implementation plan. Please bring with you to that meeting your list of companies of interest, the correspondence that you've created, and any questions that you have moving forward. Let the fun begin.